This is so good. I had a leftover pork shoulder roast that I bought a few months ago, and there was no way we were going to use it all. So I froze it, and guess what I made? You can make a soup with anything, really. You could use meat, you could do a vegetable soup, any kind of meat. And a couple of weeks ago I did do a pork soup, which I'd never done. I used some leftover pork loin. We had leftovers. We had that meal 2 days, and I said the third meal I'm not going to eat the same thing. Let's do a soup. And I had never done one. It was fantastic. So this is a leftover pork shoulder roast, and I'm telling you, it's awesome. If you ever want to make a soup with any kind of leftover meat, it works. This is so good. So I'm going to show you how I made this. And what I really want to stress is that you can make a soup out of just about any meat that you can think of. This is fantastic. So if you like my channel, and if you would subscribe and give me a like, I think I'd really like that. So I hope you give this a try and let me know how it turns out. Thanks everybody for watching. This is the pork roast. I was so large I saved half of it. I cooked it and then I saved it to use as a future soup. Now I did make one a few weeks ago. I made a wonderful pork soup out of that pork loin, and we had that pork loin meal 2 nights in a row. The one I showed with mashed potatoes and gravy, and then I said I can't have a third meal the same, so I decided to make a soup out of that one, but I didn't do a video. And you can make a soup out of any kind of meat, and honestly that was probably one of the best soups I have ever made or eaten, the pork loin one. So this isn't a pork loin, but I'm going to cut this meat up and I'm going to make a wonderful soup out of it. So I'm going to cut this up. Okay, I have all the vegetables chopped up, and I'm going to saute those first, then remove them, and then I'm going to cook this meat for a few minutes. I'm going to kind of brown it. It's already cooked meat. I froze it, but fat and bones really make soups with tons of flavor. Now you don't have to eat the fat or keep it. You can just cook with it, and it just gives so much flavor to your soups. So right now I'm going to cook my vegetables. I'll remove them and then brown the meat and then start making my soup. As always, the first step is your vegetables, your carrots, potatoes, and celery. That's what we're going to start with. We're going to saute these till they're soft and translucent, about 5 minutes. Okay, you can see it's nice and soft now, so we're going to remove the vegetables. Okay, and next you're going to put your meat in, and it's already cooked, but we're going to brown it for a few minutes. You just want to kind of stir it around and kind of brown it and get it kind of just browned, and stir it up for, I would say, about 3 or 4 minutes, just to kind of bring the flavors out that have already been cooked. That's what we're doing right now, kind of bringing out the flavors. While I'm browning that meat, these are the seasonings I'm using, and I use in most of my soups. Garlic powder, Worcestershire, thyme, salt, pepper, marmite, and some bay leaves. Those are my pretty much go-to on my soups. This meat is not real salty. There's not a lot of salt. So I'm just going to add a little salt while it's cooking because it will absorb it real well now. So a little salt now and a little pepper. Okay, my meat and skin has kind of softened up, so now I'm going to put my tablespoon of marmite in and stir it around while it's hot, and it will dissolve better. And at the same time, I'm going to add my water, about 8 cups of water. And it will get to about 3/4 almost of the way up. And you want to add your vegetables. And I am going to add some snow peas later on, maybe 20 minutes before the soup is ready. You can add anything you want. So now I'm going to add all my seasonings that I showed you and turn up the heat to a boil. Okay, garlic powder, about 2 teaspoons of Worcester. We're going to put in some thyme, and I will give you the amounts in the description. Thyme, and a little more salt and pepper. And you want to taste this along the way. While I'm bringing it to a boil, I'm going to put my bone in and my 2 bay leaves. And you could put more bay leaves. And now I'm going to bring it to a boil. Soup is started at a boil, and I do want to show you what how the broth looks. It's real clear right now. Soups can cook anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, however long. I usually don't cook them less than 2 hours unless I'm doing some kind of tomato-based soup. Then you can cook it less. So what I do now that I've reached a boil is I'm going to put a lid and caulk it and turn it down to low until I'm happy with the broth. So this is at a 3, so I'm going to kind of leave it right there. So what you're going to do is set your timer for an hour and just check it after an hour. Check the broth and see how it's doing, and then set it for another hour. Okay, this has been 30 minutes and you can see how much it's cooking. Okay, this has been cooking exactly 1 hour. And you can see that the broth is nice and brown. So I'm still going to cook it at least another hour. I might just go with 2 or 3 hours. We'll wait and see. But it looks good. You can see the difference, how nice it is. So I'm not going to add more water. You can see it's gone down probably about an inch. But right now, I don't need to add any water. I have it steadily boiling at a low. Okay, I haven't added any water to this yet. And it's been cooking now an hour and 40 minutes. So I'm going to add my potatoes, and I'm going to add some snow peas because I have them. But I don't want this to be filled with way too much vegetables. I'm just adding 1 potato and some snow peas because I have some. I do like a brothy soup. Now, I don't worry about overcooking any of these vegetables if they were to overcook, because it's all going to be vitamins in the soup that you're eating, what you're drinking or eating. But when I cook vegetables, I do want them a little al dente. But when they're in a soup, to me it doesn't matter because you're getting all the vitamins in the soup. So this is what the broth looks like. You can see how nice it is. It's a lot darker. So I'm going to let these potatoes and peas cook about 20 minutes.